It's like living
I
your life
paved the
in
road
mourning, like literally in
with
mourning.
endangered
Like
souls.
1219.
Who's
Yeah,
gonna
like
pay to
spoiler,
get the
it's fake. Let's
street
talk about
clean?
influencers
Why?
faking hauls. I don't
Oh
want
my
to be
god.
anything other
Like
than
you
what I've been
can
like
get
trying to be
addicted to like
lately,
a
and it's
certain
just
Okay,
type
like
well,
of
like,
sadness. You
first
can
step
get
is like
addicted to
wanting
like
better, and if
any
you don't
sort of
even want
like
better, like, I'm
something.
not
But
even
like
gonna.
do you ever feel lost or like you're stumbling through life without a compass, and you feel lost?
Who's gonna pay to get the
You feel
street
lost.
clean?
Do you ever feel lost? Like you're stumbling
Look
through
at
life
this Whopper.
without a
sad.
Now
My
look
compass?
at
brother.
this Whopper. Does this Whopper make you want to buy that Whopper? No, you would feel lied to. And Burger King just got into some hot water because of it.
You should
Hello,
find the
Internet.
courage to
Welcome to
face
Food
reality.
Theory, the channel where having it your way
Sun
doesn't
and
really
Sun,
matter.
power
But I
center.
can't say the same thing about
Comparison
Burger King.
videos. Today I'm looking at what it means to be to have
Formed a class action lawsuit against Burger King, alleging that their IRL Whoppers don't
Be yourself and live the
selectable
be
review Whoppers
yourself
for
and live the
advertising.
life
They were
that you
saying the
want to
king
live.
is
Say,
sad
if you want to be a
size of
musician,
meat
don't
men.
enroll
Alright,
in
they
medical
claim Burger
school
King
just
used
because being a
oversized
doctor
meat
is more
patties to
praise in
reduce
your
their
parents'
ads'
eyes.
menu
If you
design
wish
to
to
make
have
it
a lot of
appear
free
that
time
burgers
to
are
travel the
approximately
world, then don't pick a
35%
9 to
larger in
5
size, with
job.
nearly
Rather
double
pick a
the
career that
now,
you can
if
do
your
as a
first instinct hearing this
freelancer.
was, yeah,
For
duh,
example,
it's
creating
fun,
philosophy
you'd be on the
videos
same
on
page as
YouTube,
most
which gives
other
you
judges.
free time and enough money to
I mean,
travel, to
what are
live a good
Burger
life.
King, McDonald's, and
To live a good
Wendy's
life, you
supposed
need to
to
live the
use
life
their
you
real
want to
Whoppers for
live.
ads?
That's
No,
the
whatever.
line with
But
your
what makes this
personality.
lawsuit notable
Like
is
with
that the
your
judge
dreams.
presiding over the
Okay,
case
number
has
4.
decided that the claims
Keep your
might
mind
actually
open.
have some
In
merit.
the
Instead of
words
throwing
of the
the case out like so
Nietzsche,
many others have done, the
convictions are
judge
more
is having it
like
his way
living
and making
your
the king
life
stand trial and defend
in
his burger. So today, I
mourning.
want to look into whether or not his monarchy will crumble. Does it actually look
I've
like
been with you
BK
for
broke the
9
law,
years.
or is this lawsuit just a greasy,
Back when you
fast
lived with
food, fast
Schwartz,
cash grab?
we
Like
became
I mentioned,
friends.
BK
When
isn't
you
the only
literally
fast
didn't
food or
have that
fast
big
casual
huge
establishment that's been hit with a lawsuit alleging
driving a
deception. In May
1997 Honda
2022, a
Civic.
man filed a lawsuit against McDonald's and Wendy's for unfair and deceptive practices due to false advertising in their ads and on their menu. The burgers, he claimed, were the most egregious, and accused Wendy and Ronald of undercooking their meat to make them appear 15 to 20% larger than the beef patties that were actually served to customers, since the fully cooked patties tend to shrink and look less appetizing. Likewise, Taco Bell was hit with a lawsuit by a guy claiming that they used double the meat in their photos and commercials during 2023, when certain ingredients, like meat, were struck by inflation, causing prices to go up and customers to look to Taco Bell for a cheaper alternative. But the Mexican pizzas, Crunchwrap Supremes, and various other menu items appear to have significantly less meat, beans, and other fixes than they did in the ads. Starbucks was accused of skipping fresh buffalo wild accused of not using meat from a chicken's actual wing in their latest buffalo. Subway was accused of using 200 the list goes on. Oftentimes, like in the cases of McDonald's and Wendy's, the judge will throw out rules, citing that the reasonable average customer would most likely not be misled by advertising, and that the images of food put forth by these chains were no different than other companies' use of visually appealing images to foster positive associations with their products. Translation, everybody exaggerates their product in ads, and most people know this. But the lawsuits against BK and Starbucks were allowed by judges to move forward, denying the respective establishments' motions to dismiss their claims. In the case of Starbucks, the judge determined that a significant portion of reasonable consumers would assume that all of their refreshers contained real fruit based on their menu signs and advertisements. And it seems that the judge facing down the Burger King is heading down the same road. The lawsuits against B-Dub and Subway are still pending, but if Burger King and Starbucks are found guilty of deceiving customers, they might start seeing a shift in how these false advertisements are handled. So what exactly is the line between deception and reasonable exaggeration? At what point does an appetizing advertisement become straight up lying? And what are the parameters already in place to prevent these companies from going too far? To start answering some of these questions, it's helpful to understand the history of staging food for consumers' eyes. In the 1930s, color film photography allowed food to be captured realistically, almost exactly as it appeared to the naked eye. Advertisers started using color around this time in images of their products, and cookbooks began implementing colorful images into the pages. expressive, bringing dishes to life that were formerly dull and black and white. Commercial food photography blossomed as a new career path, and companies found that their goods sold better when their customers could actually visualize what an all-American Thanksgiving dinner would look like. But it didn't take long for advertisers to realize that they could exaggerate a little bit to get consumers even more excited about their products. Food and beverage brands began implementing behind-the-scenes tricks to get the food in their images to look even better than the real thing, like swapping out melty scoops of ice cream in a dish for a thick hunk of mashed potatoes. Under a photographer's hot lights, cold food would melt, lettuce would wilt, and hot food would lose its juicy, steamy sheen. So they improvised. Oil was painted onto dry food to make it look fresher, and hairspray or deodorant was applied when a more matte look was needed. Honestly, all the tricks used in food photography are astounding. It's actually a really cool art. Ironically, although it was initially invented to accurately capture an image of real life, the introduction of color development ultimately led to less of an interest in realistic, authentic images. A homemade hamburger just wasn't as appealing to look at as a burger expertly crafted by an art director. And consumers started gravitating to brands that showcased their food in an idealized way, the way folks wanted their food to look, even if it wasn't purely life. This shift completely changed the way human beings. It was no longer enough to taste the delicious meat,
which is where the player has her hands and her free of a con.
Chefs began to consider the preparations of their meals as seriously as they considered the flavor, learning to create visually appealing plates that were a feast for both the eyes and stomach. Food stylists likewise began to experiment with different props, backgrounds, and lighting to enhance and highlight different colors and textures. Food photos were staged to tell a story about the preparation, origin, and cultural significance of their subject, allowing consumers to immerse themselves fully in the dining experience. Brands today are still using these exact same techniques, but advancements in technology have only expanded their playing field. Once upon a time, it was enough to sell an ice-cold bottle of Coca-Cola in a flat, black and white image. Now, Coke has a CGI polar bear and a bright red Christmas sweater convincing you to be black. Today, many companies have a strict policy of only allowing real, edible food in ads, which means that mashed potato ice cream is fair game, but that isn't always the case. And even modern food stylists have admitted to using non-food enhancements to make dishes pop and burn. Need to make a stack of buttermilk pancakes look extra rich and syrupy? Try dousing
I've
them
been with
in
you
engine
for
oil. Have the
9
skin of
years.
your
I've been with you for back when you were living with Schwartz. You became bread. You were literally wearing combat boots and skinny jeans.
Cereal would be soggy after soaking in milk. Replace that milk
I
with
love
an inedible combination of water and
back when you were living with
PVC
Schwartz.
to keep your Cheerios looking fresh on film.
I've been
Then
with you
there's
for
all
9
the sneaky
years.
props used in staging
Back when
to
you were
make
living with
food
Schwartz,
look
we became
Ever
friends.
wondered
When
why
you
the
were
burgers
literally
look
wearing
lackluster?
combat
It's probably
boots
because
and
you're not
skinny
wedging
jeans.
pieces of cardboard or chunks of a makeup sponge.
You didn't have a dime to your name.
You're also probably not
Driving
mistaking
in
your
1997
Honda
Honda.
nor are you using a blowtorch or cheese to get that. Now, some food stylists even choose to undercoat the burger meat to make it look
I've been with you
bigger
for
and mushy, and
9
others
years.
might soak the meat in oil to make it look like it's dripping and juicy.
When you were literally wearing
Legally,
combat
there
boots
is a
and
limit
skinny
to how much
jeans.
brands and
You
advertisers
didn't have a
are
dime
allowed
to your
blur the
name.
line between real food
Driving in that
Sorry about that, sir.
1997
Yeah,
Honda Civic.
Section 5
Really sorry,
I loved
sir.
you then.
Sorry you had to go through that. Oh, hi again, sir. Do you need help moving your car?
I hate
misleading in a material.
Sorry you had to go through
Likewise,
that.
the Federal
Sorry
Food,
you had to go
Drug,
through
and
that.
Cosmetic Act prohibits
Oh, hi again,
any
sir. Do you need help moving your car? Sir, do you need help moving
which
into your
basically
car?
means that manufacturers have to use the actual ingredients and cannot make false
you
claims
that.
about
You that.
have no basis in reality.
I love you then.
1975 giving cultural commentary.
You have to listen to
Television's turning us all into lazy bums. And it's like, I know weird that the comment and society a while ago, like, you're like, next song.
ordering a meal based on that doesn't exist in life, which is why grocery hot water is a lawsuit case. As consumers, we're expected to understand that any product is going to look a little better in an ad than it does in real life. But that line isn't always clear. It isn't always obvious when an advertisement is lying. Most of us aren't
Paparazzi video where the guy's filming her and he like asks her on a date and she's like filming her and he like asks her on a date and she's like paparazzi video where the guy's filming her and he like asks her on a date and she's like kind of paparazzi video where the guy's filming her asks her on a date and she's like kind of
as
Did
this
you know
IRL burger
means
served. In this ad, the patty
No.
advertised has a diameter of about
Did you
6
know
inches.
you-
Look at how the meat hangs out over the bun. This means that the area of the patty being advertised
Blueberries.
is roughly 28.27 square inches. Now, let's pull up some of the IRL burgers in question here. First, we have this burger, which looks to have a 4.5-inch diameter, making its estimated area about 15.9 inches square. That means that the advertised burger is around 78% bigger than the real one. When it comes to volume, the difference is even more insane. Taking just the volume of the patty, the advertised patty is about 237% bigger. And let's face it, volume of the whole burger doesn't matter as much as the meat. Then we have this one, which has a 4.25-inch diameter, making its estimated area about 14.19 square inches, which means the advertised burger is 99% bigger in area and 457 times
I don't know,
bigger
to me,
in
I just
volume
done
than the
everything that I
IRL.
wanted to do.
Exactly, or way
know,
more than what the
and it's
lawsuit
like,
is claiming. If the 19
I wanted
accusers
to
bring
play
forth
the game and see
similarly
what it
damning
was like,
evidence
you know,
for it, Burger
and-
King could
and just
potentially
kind of
be
like-
found
like,
guilty
look,
of lying to
hey,
the
Mac
sale.
Miller
So just
being
how
one of the
much
most
hot
successful
French fry
independent
oil
rappers,
is the PK Lounge?
right, like that's
is
cool.
violating the
But, like,
FTC
I just-
Act is
I
punishable
don't
by
want that
civil
to be the
penalty. And
tagline
through the
about what
penalty
I do.
offense
I want
authority,
it
the
to just be the
commission is
music,
allowed
so,
to
like,
seek those
I don't
penalties
want
if
it to
it
be
can
about
prove
the
that the
hustle.
king
I don't
knew
want it
his
to be
advertisements
about,
were unfair
how
and set
successful
that
I
civil
am
penalty up to
independently. I want it to be
$50,000 per
about
violation. That
how
amount
good it is.
adjusts every year to reflect
And
inflation.
I
So
think
they're
one
looking
of
at a
the
maximum
biggest
fine of
things
close
that
to
it
$1
is
million paid to the
29th of
agency.
September
The commission's goal is to
2022
send a
that
clear
Ford
message
City
that
Average
bringing
Right,
Burger
right,
is
and-
still in
and-
retrograde
so
for
they-
another 3 days.
Burger King is penalized by the
and-
FTC. It's likely they'd have to
and-
settle with the plaintiffs for an agreed upon amount. We
Really?
won't know any exact
Really?
figures unless
Yeah, no,
the
one
involved
time I
parties
never saw
disclose
it.
Today
them
I'm
after the
looking
trial.
at
But an
I never
interesting
saw
possibility
it.
also
to have
lies ahead
the
for
Sun
investors.
and
In past civil lawsuit cases against unfair and deceptive practices
Radio
and
record.
advertisements, all affected customers, not just the plaintiffs who brought forth the
Yeah,
case.
you
You know
know
what
what,
though? They kind of knew what they were coming to
Right.
get as
Right.
well.
A
So,
woman
so you're in a
sued Jimmy
position
John's
where they're
for
not
falsely
dealing with
advertising the
that
inclusion of
particular
alfalfa
artist. You kind of
sprouts.
cut the line too.
Although
You know what I'm
Jimmy
saying?
John's
Right.
ultimately
I mean, luckily,
denied the
and
allegations, they still agreed
if
to
it
settle
wasn't
with the
for all
plaintiffs,
this
as
independent
well
success,
as
I would
provide
be in
vouchers
completely
to all
That's
customers.
definitely.
who
Is there
dined
is there a
there
song on the
between
album that you've been
February
surprised that a
1st,
fan since you
2012
dropped it have gravitated towards?
Those
You know
vouchers
what?
were only worth $1.40 off your next properly
like,
sprouted sandwich,
the
but hey,
ones that
better
I
than nothing. In the end, if the
were-
FTC
was
finds the king guilty,
thought-
or if they decide to make a settlement, all of
The
us
ones
farm
that-
enthusiasts might benefit.
cut
Even if it's
it,
only a
cut it,
couple
right?
$100
The ones that I
will
thought that
eventually
the fans
add
were
up.
all gonna
Burger King
gravitate
estimates that over
to
1.3 billion Whoppers are sold each year worldwide, and 41 Whoppers are eaten around the world every second.
but
Now, I'm not
you know
exactly
what
sure
I'm
how
saying
many of
is
those
everyone
billions of
says
burgers are
really like
devoured
this song called
specific to the United States, which
Oh,
is also
yeah.
plate,
Like,
but I
it's
guess
just
it's a
super
pretty high
banger.
number, considering
And
the
it's
fact that
just
the King
super
raked in
aggressive and just, like,
$1.3 billion
rapping,
in
right?
revenue in the U.S. in
And that just
2022
makes me
alone. Now,
happy
if history
because
shows
I
us
think,
anything,
like,
it's that the lawsuits
people,
won't go
like,
to trial for these
want to
cases
see
lose,
Flex
and
a
the
little
entire
bit.
industry
Yeah.
You know, like,
will
that's like, I
forever
think
be
it's just kind of like,
It'll
all right,
most
dude,
likely be
like,
settled out of court
we
for
get your
millions,
thoughtful
people
human
should be
being,
paid
now,
off,
like,
and
come
that'll
out and
that.
shit
Even
on
in that
that.
case,
Yeah,
though,
we get the character now, just rap about
like,
it.
just
with all
you know,
these
you're good.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry
with
about, like,
puffery or exaggeration that
what
no
the world
reasonable
is all
customer
the
takes
time.
literally.